So today we're here to talk about something I'm really passionate about, and that is 90s toys. As you guys can see, I have a 90s wall full of memorabilia from the 90s, as that's the childhood that I had growing up. You know, I had a bunch of 90s toys. I watched 90s cartoons, 90s TV shows. We all did, all of us who grew up in the 90s. And today I'm here to talk to you guys about my top 10 favorite toys from the 90s. And I wanted to give you guys a retrospective look at some of the toys that I remember from my childhood, you know, what they meant to me, and the fact that I still own most of these things in my collection nowadays and sometimes still use them. So let's go ahead and take a trip down memory lane, and let me show you guys my top 10 toys from the 90s.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a brekkie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
So coming in at number 10 here is a toy that we probably all remember as a kid. And that is something that none of us can get over, because we played this all the time. It was all the rage at all the different stores. You know, we were twisting it, we were pulling it, we were doing all these sorts of things. And of course, I'm talking about Bop It.
Hey, wanna play Bop It? Cool. It commands you obey. Bop it. Twist it. Tap it. If you can't keep up, twist it. You lose. Once you get your hands on Bop It, you're not gonna want to stop it. Fast-talking electronic Bop It. Batteries not included.
Here is my 90s Bop It right here, one that originally still works. This thing was awesome. Everyone played with these as a kid. You know, I was obsessed with this thing, always picking it up and randomly just playing it randomly throughout the day. And it's been a fun, you know, experience to kind of go back at this and see how the original started, because there are new versions now that have come out and kind of expanded on the idea. But this is the original classic one, and it still works here, as you can see.
Bop it. Twist it. Pull it. Bop it. Pass it.
Next person.
Bop it. Twist it. Pull it. Bop it.
And I missed that one. But you guys get the idea. This thing still works. It's been a lot of fun playing with this one. So that is my number 10. Coming in at number 9 is a thing that probably a lot of the parents out there didn't want us playing with, because it was messy. You know, it got all over the place. It's stuck everywhere. But as kids, we all love this thing. And of course, here I'm talking about GAC.
What is GAC?
GAC is great stuff. Oozy. GAC is stretchy.
You can pull it. Make GAC sounds.
How rude.
Suck it up and squirt it out with a GAC back. Pump it up and blow it up with a GAC inflator.
Well, I never.
Nickelodeon GAC comes in different colors, sizes, and playsets, each sold separately. Coming soon from Mattel.
Disgusting.
GAC is something that we've all experienced and know about. I have mine sitting here at the wall, you know, from Nickelodeon on my 90s wall. And there is my original GAC, not taken out of the package. It's kind of still sitting there, so I can't show you guys, but we all know exactly what this was. I was obsessed with this thing everywhere I went. You know, I always had GAC and just playing with it, making weird things with it, you know, like everyone did when they were a kid with this stuff. This thing was everywhere. You know, I got a lot of these, actually. It wasn't the GAC official model one, but it was like those fake ones that they put in the 50-cent machines that everyone put quarters into, and you got that GAC thing that came out. So those were all the rage back in the 90s, and I'm happy to have this as part of my collection now, too, to still have the original GAC in the packaging here. Is really cool. As you guys know on this channel, I'm a really big fan of VR and 3D and stuff like that, and this was kind of the start of it when I was a kid. And this is a product that came out that basically envisioned us looking through a viewfinder and seeing 3 images of our favorite properties from the 90s, because they made reels for this thing from all different things, from Rugrats to all the different cartoons that we used to watch and TV shows. There were reels for this for everything you can come across in the 90s. And of course, I'm talking about the Viewmaster.
What are you doing? Looking for a Cabbage Patch Kid. Silly. Look at my Viewmaster viewer. Hey, the Cabbage Patch Kid in 3D. They're being kidnapped. I see. Now Xavier is trying to save them.
You can see the complete 3D Cabbage Patch adventure in a Viewmaster gift set. Other gift sets include Michael Jackson and Masters of the Universe, each sold separately. The Cabbage Patch gift set comes with 3D viewer and 3 Viewmaster reel.
And here is my original Viewmaster. As you guys remember, like we just saw there in the video, there are these little round films that you put into this 3D Master, and basically they made these for everything. There was Rugrats ones, There was everything for our favorite TV properties to, you know, everything that you can think of was basically made into one of these back in the 90s. And you kind of just slip it in here. It's hard for me to show you guys on camera, but once you kind of flip this to look at them, you kind of look through the lens here, which is really hard to do on this camera, but you would actually see a 3D image coming in there. And it's still cool, even to this day, you know, when, you know, with VR being out there and everything else, it was still cool to go back to this and look at these and actually see a 3D image in this Viewmaster, and having it for so many different properties. I have a bunch of these round cassettes now for all different properties from, like I said, everything from the 90s, and it's really cool to just go in there and look at them through here. They each came with a bunch of different images, as you guys can see here. If you go up close, you can see the images there. And this one happens to be Rugrats. So that is the Viewmaster. The next one on this list, coming in at number 7, is a toy that I loved as a kid, and a lot of us probably did, but man, was it painful to play with. We took this thing and we basically went to the streets and we tried to perform for all our friends and family to try and see who can go around the most and who can get the highest score on this thing. But if you messed up, damn, did it hit your ankle. And of course, we're talking about Skip It.
Hey now kids, come gather round, see what just skipped into town. So skip it, do run, do jump, do hop, hop. Skip it, skipping and a screaming and a bop to bop. But the very best thing of all, there's a counter on this ball. So try to beat your very best score, see if you can jump a whole lot more. Skip it, come on everybody, skip it. Roaring good fun from Tiger Toys.
Oh man, who could forget about Skip It? Skip It was one of the things that I played with as a kid and everybody on the block had. This isn't an original one that I had, but this is similar to the one I had in blue here, Skip It. Mine does have the counter on it. Some of them came with counter, some of them didn't, where it actually shows you how many you actually did in one turn there. So this one still works, because some of the counters, you know, seem to break really easily on these things nowadays, being how old these products are now. But really, really cool to have one of these as part of my collection. And man, did these things hurt our knees when we did. I'm not even attempting to do this in the room for you guys right now. Sorry, it's just not happening. Because I was terrible at it then, and I'm still terrible about it now. But when you start hitting it, if you mess up, this thing would rock your knee. Or not your knee, but your ankle. If you know, you messed up and you were spinning and stuff, this thing would smack your ankle so hard. I remember getting hit in the ankle so many times when I was a kid, having red marks all over the place. And I tried it when I got older here recently, and yeah, I'm not showing you guys that part of the video. Coming in at number 6 here is something that was highly collectible back in the 90s, and a lot of us owned a lot of them. Again, this is another thing that they put properties and cartoons and characters on this thing for all of us to collect. And we brought these to school. We used the slammers to basically go ahead and slam these things on there, play against our friends, so we can steal theirs away from them and come out victorious. And of course, here we're talking about Pogs. Oh man, who could forget about Pogs? Pogs were such a thing back in the 90s. Here is my official slammers that I had in here. As you guys can see, I have a bunch of these. I have a bunch stacked here in this. And this is one of the slammers. You need a slammer to be able to play the game. It's kind of like a thicker version of it that you could basically slam on the table when you're trying to collect your Pogs. And I have a bunch of Pogs in here. I even have the official Pogs tournament game board that they used to put out there, and the official Pogs organizer there, where I have a bunch of Pogs in there, all collected from different properties of the 90s. And all, like I said, they made these for a lot of different things, for a lot of different cartoons and stuff. So I have a bunch of Pogs in there, all collected with the official tournament. So this was a hit in the 90s. Everyone was playing this back when they first got released, and everybody was collecting them, and it was all the rage. And I remember playing these when I was in school, and you know, just going around and collecting Pogs and trying to beat them from people was always a fantastic experience. So Pogs were awesome in the 90s, and they're still really cool now. Coming in at number 5 is something that as a kid I wanted so bad, and was lucky enough that my family actually got me one, and I love this thing. I remember traveling with this thing everywhere, you know, looking up Pokemon, looking up their information, what their stats were and stuff like that, because we were all obsessed with Pokemon back in the day. And this thing was an easy way to carry on and basically replicate what they were doing on the show. They carried around something in their hand and they looked up Pokemon on it, and this was a toy to bring that to life to us as kids. And I was obsessed with this thing. And of course, we're talking about the Pokedex.
Nobody knows every Pokemon.
Master knows.
Who weighs more, Metapod or Pidgeotto? Pidgeotto by 44 pounds. Bulbasaur's height? 2 feet 4 inches. How does he do it?
The electronic Pokedex for master trainers from Abra to Zubat. Master them all.
Weedle's number? 13.
150 Pokemon with all the best fighting moves. Electronic Pokedex for master trainers. New from Tiger.
The Pokedex. Man, did I want one of these when I was a child. I always wanted to have one of these. It was something that I always looked forward to actually having. And I had it when I was a kid. I finally was able to get one from my family. They gave me one, and I was obsessed with this thing. And I haven't. This isn't my original one when I was a kid. Unfortunately, I had to rebuy this, but you can see that this one is in really good condition here, and it looks fantastic, really nice and clean. Has the sticker still intact. Everything looks really good on it, and most importantly, it actually still works. Who remembers the intro to this? And then you got to the main menu here, and you see like page, favorites, sort, and kind of look through here. Look at your favorites, sort them by page. You know, you got a clock and a calculator on this thing. You guys get the idea. So yeah, this thing was awesome back in the 90s, and I still have one, and I still think this thing is cool. Coming in at number 4 is something that, as a kid, I was obsessed with learning and getting better at. And that was a rarity for me. I stuck with this thing. I played with so many of these different ones. There were so many different models out there, from ones that lit up, from ones that kind of stood at the bottom when you rolled it by itself, that made it easier to do tricks with. I was obsessed with this thing. And, you know, we all had so many different tricks, a lot of different ideas on how to make it cool in front of our friends and how to do all sorts of tricks with this thing. And, of course, I'm talking about the yo-yo.
Me? Play with a Duncan yo-yo? That's for babies. I need the speed, the action of a video game.
You want speed, action, excitement? Get a yo-yo. You want the hottest yo-yos? Get a donkey. Because if it isn't a donkey, give it to him.
Ah, the yo-yo. Man, I had so many different yo-yos back in the day. This is an Omega one that I have. As they talked about in the video there, I do have a Duncan. So having a Duncan is really cool, as that was like the brand that everyone, you know, raged about in the commercials and stuff. And man, do you guys remember playing with these yo-yos and doing like, was it like Rock the Baby or something, where you put it through and you kind of make a triangle and kind of rock the yo-yo back and forth? Some really cool stuff that you can do with yo-yo tricks. I used to remember how to do a lot of those yo-yo tricks back in the day. I've forgotten most of them, but I definitely remember the baby, the rocking baby, or the baby, or whatever that was called for the yo-yos. And had a good time collecting all of these different yo-yos, ones that light up, ones that, you know, were regular, like this Duncan one, and they lit, and the other ones that were like easier to do because they lit up and kind of stayed at the bottom for you, so it was easier to do tricks. They had all sorts of variations for this Duncan stuff, for this yo-yo stuff. And it was a blast as a kid growing up with yo-yos. And, you know, they made a comeback a couple of years ago. And, yeah, these are fun. Coming in at number 3 is something that we all had a love or hate relationship with. Because these things were something that we couldn't stop caring about, but damn did we sometimes want to. This was a thing that we all had in our book bags and basically had to take care of throughout the day. We had to go in there, we had to feed it, we had to bathe it, we had to make sure it went to sleep at the right time. You know, we had to play with it to make it happy, or else it would die. And we emotionally got attached to these things. If these things died on us, it felt like we just lost a child basically back in the day. And of course, we're talking about the Tamagotchi.
Well, if it isn't Tamagotchi, her new favorite pet.
Yes.
So what's that make me? Fish sticks?
Oh, are you hungry?
Oh, no. By all means, feed it. Play till your heart's content.
Look, Goldie. I took good care of her, and she changed again.
Change? How about changing some water here?
Katie, Boss is here.
So Tamagotchi can pause. I can pause too. Want to see that again?
Tamagotchi, the original virtual reality pet. Your care determines the pets you get from Bandai.
Who could forget about Tamagotchis? Tamagotchis have been around for so long and were a huge hit in the 90s. Unfortunately, mine that you're looking at here has run out of batteries when I went to go do this video. So I have to get replacement batteries for mine, but it did work. And I was playing with this thing, keeping my little guy, you know, around, feeding him and stuff like that, reminiscing of what we did in the 90s with these Tamagotchis that we kept around our book bags and carried around and fed them when they were hungry, showered them when they needed to, put them to sleep when they needed to, played little mini games with them. And these things are still around nowadays. You know, this is the original one from the 90s, one of the original ones from back then. But they still make a bunch now, you know, that are more recent and have additional features and stuff. But this is the classic 90s one, the one that I remember playing as a kid. And it's still fantastic now. And damn, I need to get some replacement batteries. Oh, man. Coming in at number 2 here is something that was the epitome of my childhood. It is everything I remember from my 90s, consistently throughout the whole entire decade of playing them, collecting them, and loving every single minute of it, bringing them to school, battling other people at school. Luckily, I wasn't one of the ones that actually got this kicked out. Like, you know, the school didn't actually ban these from happening like I've heard other people had their experiences like. But these were so much fun to collect. You know, there was movie events that gave you special cards that were only sold at movies that people got. You know, these cards were everywhere. And it's still a thing today. There's still video games being made about it. There's still new ones coming out to this day. You know, and the generations just keep on continuing. But all of us definitely remember Generation 1 for sure is the fondness in my mind. And 2 and 3 as well. And of course, we're talking about the Pokemon trading cards.
You ready to be the ultimate Pokemon Master Trainer?
Yes, I think I am.
Then join the Pokemon Trading Card Game League. You'll do awesome activities, learn wicked strategies, earn killer badges, and meet new friends as you begin your journey to become a Pokemon Master Trainer. To find out more about the Pokemon Trading Card Game League, log on to wizards.com. Go forth and be a master.
Man, was I obsessed with Pokemon. I remember as a kid watching Pokemon, you know, in the bedroom, in my room, when I was a kid, and my parents would come upstairs because I had to be, you know, asleep basically by 9 o'clock usually, or 9:30, you know, for school and stuff like that. And they would basically, their rooms were downstairs when I was growing up, you know, when I was small. And as soon as they left and went downstairs, I immediately turned that TV back on, and I was just watching Pokemon at night. Before bed, I was watching it in the morning for morning cartoons. I was just all over the place. And these Pokemon trading cards, I'll never forget how much fun these things were. You know, I have a Pokemon collection here. My goal is to collect the first original 151, as that was, you know, the rage of what I remember as a kid growing up. I did also dabble into Generation 2 and 3 when I was a kid, but Generation 1 is the one that we all fondly remember really, really well. And, you know, I'm trying to go for a complete collection. I'm not completely there yet. But these are in order, as you guys can see here. I do have the main 3. So I have the main 3 on all of them here, which is really cool. But I have slots for the ones that I'm missing. Some of them are a little more expensive, but I have them kind of in order, and I know which slot I need from 1 to 151. I believe I also do have Mewtwo in this. Is he sitting in the back here? We got some trainers and stuff like that. Yep, there's my Mew sitting right there. But I don't have Mewtwo, so I'll have to get him. But either way, you know, I love collecting these Pokemon cards. And as a kid, man, when we were in class and stuff, always passing around Pokemon cards in the middle of class when we were supposed to be paying attention to math or something. We were trading, we were battling in school on the playgrounds. Luckily in my school, it was never banned. Like I heard some other schools got banned because it was such a rage back in the 90s. And I still to this day watch Pokemon. I still to this day love the trading card game. And, you know, love the Pokemon games and series. So, yeah, this was my childhood in a nutshell right here, was Pokemon. And coming in at number 1 is something that definitely got me into what I love nowadays. And it is video games. And this is the one that I have my fondest memories of. Not because it was the first one that I played with, but because it was the first one that I technically received for myself. I felt like this is something that my family gave me, and it was the first one that was, like, bought for me. And it was given specifically for me, and it kind of started me down the path of loving video games and loving everything about them. And it's one of my fondest memories of the first thing that, you know, I got as a kid that sticks in my mind for whatever reason as something that I'll never forget. And we're talking about the Nintendo Game Boy.
They said it wasn't humanly possible. All the power and excitement of Nintendo right in the palm of your hand. Introducing Game Boy. It's portable, it's in stereo, and its games are interchangeable. Game Boy comes complete with batteries and the outrageous new game Tetris. And for head-to-head competition, use Video Link and blow your opponent away. Game Boy, only from Nintendo. Now you're playing with power portable power.
And of course, the last one here is a Nintendo Game Boy, guys. I remember as a kid, for whatever reason, this is the one that sticks in my memory the most. Even though we had an Atari 2600 back in the day, and I had systems, you know, that my grandfather and stuff used to buy me all the time, like the N64 and stuff when I was a kid. And the Game Boy is one that I fondly remember because it was the first system that I remember that was personally given to me when I was a kid, that was specifically for me. And it was basically when I was getting my tonsils removed in the hospital. Obviously, I wasn't feeling well. I wasn't excited. I was in the hospital bed, and they surprised me with a Nintendo Game Boy while I was in the hospital bed getting my tonsils removed. And I played this thing for hours. And the original one that I got, and this is my original one. This is the one that I had in the 90s. It's still kicking. It still works. The only thing that's wrong with it is that this plate has to be taped, because you can see here it doesn't have a way to connect anymore. But you know, this is my original Game Boy. And Tetris, you know, Tetris has seen better days, but this is the original game that I got with the Game Boy back in the day, and it still works. And Tetris was the one that I got when I was in the hospital and played for hours and hours and hours with this Nintendo Game Boy. It's the one that I played the most, the toy that I played with the most in the 90s. And of course, it started my trend into video games when I was small, and continues to this day now. And, you know, we all have fond memories of the Game Boy and all these classic systems and video game systems that came out in the 90s. And, you know, those are memories that we will never forget, that we'll hopefully keep passing on to our kids one day, when it comes to showing them what we played back in the day, like the Game Boy, N64 and stuff, that they hopefully also gravitate towards. So I have really fond memories with the Nintendo Game Boy when I was a kid. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that video and got some nostalgic feelings like I did, talking about these 90s collectibles and 90s toys that I had. And I heard from you guys back in a recent poll that you guys like for me to talk about more 90s stuff and more retro stuff. So I'll be coming out with more of these you know, retrospective looks. As you guys can see, there's a lot of collectibles that I can be talking about and taking deeper dives into, and doing more videos like this. So look forward to more 90s collectible toys and you know, things like that, and retro video games that we'll talk about here in the future, along with the rest of the videos that we always do, because as you guys know, this is a variety channel. We talk about everything from 90s toys, retro games, arcade machines, VR, and even nowadays, Tesla car videos. So you never know what you're going to get on this channel, but that's what makes it, in my opinion, interesting for all you guys to watch. So if you guys enjoyed this video, definitely leave those comments down below. And if you have questions about anything you've seen, as always, leave those down below as well. If not, thank you guys for watching. Till next time.